you brought up before Saturn. I don't know if you've ever played any of the Elder Scrolls games like Skyrim or Oblivion or Morrowind. Have you ever played any of those?
I played Skyrim.
Yeah, the guy who wrote the lore for those games is called Michael Kirkbride, McBride, sorry, and he is an esotericist. He claims like he's inspired from like esoteric mystical stuff, like Gnosticism, Neoplatonism, like all this esoteric stuff. And so his law is like super esoteric, and so he claims that the god of time is actually a dragon. It's called Akatosh, and Akatosh is the first being to come into existence, and when he comes into existence, time comes into existence. And it's interesting because the dragon, time is portrayed as a dragon because it consumes everything. Like time consumes the earth, it consumes everything. All the creatures on the earth are bodies. Time consumes everything, like a dragon, like devouring its prey alive, just swallows everything. That's time. And Kronos in the Greek mythology has the same symbolism. In the mythology, he swallows all of his offspring. I can't remember the name of his offspring, but it's like the earth, the sky, like everything. Time, Kronos, he consumes everything like a dragon. And then he throws it all up, which indicates time goes in cycles because time swallows everything, it regurgitates everything. And so
That's very interesting. I've always noticed that I've also played this the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. I've always noticed that the walls kind of almost look like Akkadian or like some ancient Sumerian kind of scripts. And I've also seen I've also have heard that the ancient Sumerians actually used to draw used to draw dragons that looked a lot more like dinosaurs, kind of, so more kind of realistic depictions of real beings that could have like walked the earth. So I thought that was also pretty interesting.
yes, I believe the dragon is a symbol for the ego, because the dragon has the lizard brain, which is only concentrated on sex and eating and survival, and it's a kind of a psychopath. Like when you look at these serpents that have these lizard brains, when they swallow their prey alive, like frogs or like small rabbits, they swallow their prey alive and they suffocate their prey in their stomach. And it takes them like 5 or 6 minutes to die in their stomach, and you can see the serpent as its prey is dying in its stomach. It's happy, and it's like a psychopath. And the dragon is like that, but more powerful and more scary, like a giant, angry serpent. And that's the ego. And I'm reminded of the book of Revelations in the Bible, where the dragon, the beast, he has like 7 heads and 7 diadems on his heads, and he tries to eat the child that is being born from this woman who's shining with light. And the dragon, this is from Revelation 12, the dragon wants to eat the child as soon as the woman gives birth to it. And the woman there is Sophia. That's the soul who is giving birth to the Logos of God within itself. And the dragon's the ego. So it's like the woman shining with light giving birth to the child. That's our soul. And it's like we're giving birth to God within ourselves. And the ego wants to devour the child as soon as it's born. But Revelation says that the child is snatched away to be with God in his throne so that the dragon can't devour it. It's interesting symbolism. I don't think this is literal. I don't think there's actually like a 7-headed dragon walking around. I think it's a symbol for this process you were talking about before of apotheosis, like this theosis, this the deification of the soul and the battle with the dragon. I think the whole book of Revelation is really about that inward process. I don't think it's actually about like external events that are like literally going to happen. I think the whole thing is symbolism for the path of apotheosis and all the weird things that happen along the way. and dragons are a key symbolism in that. And also, you have this symbolism of St. George slaying a dragon. Again, it's the whole ego symbolism. Like the dragon is the ego, St. George is the soul, and he has to like kill this dragon in order to rescue this damsel in distress. It's the same woman in Revelation who's shining with light. It's the Sophia, the virgin, the soul that's made into a virginal state, so that God can be born within it, within the virginal womb of the soul.
Yeah. There's lots of mythologies like that. I really feel like they, the degree to which they're true is unknown. Like how much truth is um is real that is coming out of them. But I think that there always is some kernel of truth, at least some kernel. And like we were saying, like with the dragons and like dinosaurs, and also I feel like vampires and werewolves, actually, I think they have some sort of reality. There's some scientific explanations that maybe it was like decomposing bodies and certain things, but there's lots of interesting like symbology, like Christ, like with Jesus, you drink blood, or the blood of Christ, and you're supposed to live forever. That's like kind of the Bible verse, and that's kind of a similar verses in the Bible, although obviously in modern culture it's depicted as something that is dark. And then I see like onions and garlic. Interestingly, that's always supposed to be the thing that wards off the vampires and the evil spirits. And for some reason in Eastern spirituality, like I avoid onion and garlic. That's part of my tradition. So it seems like there's how much reality is there to vampires and living forever, and the onions and the garlic is, it seems like things get jumbled over time and moved around, but it seems like the mythology and the spirituality always has some sort of intimate connection that sort of evolves over time. Yeah, it's just a little bit adjacent to some stuff I've been thinking about recently.
I agree with what you're saying, and a lot of the Gothic cathedrals, when one looks at them, they look like Dracula's lair, in a manner of speaking. A lot of Gothic architecture does not necessarily look like heaven on earth
connection. To me. Yeah.
When I think of heavenly architecture, I think of like Olympian Roman columns, and when I see Gothic cathedrals, I think this looks like Vampire's Lair. It doesn't necessarily look like heaven on earth to me, but that's just my opinion. And then you go inside of it, and you see, as you're saying, they all claim like we drink the blood of Jesus, and that gives us life, so that we don't die. And that's vampirism, basically. I think it has some spiritual significance. The Gnostics understand that the blood is a symbol of vitality. It's this what's called manna in the Bible. Like when the Israelites are wandering through the wilderness, God rains the manna down on top of them, and they eat the manna, and that allows them to not die. It's described as this magical, shining, white, flaky substance, manna. And the Ark of the Covenant was supposedly filled with this manna. And the Ark of the Covenant was within the temple, and thus the temple was filled with manna, which means the temple was filled with this magical power. And of course, the temple was a symbol for the soul. So the Gnostics would say that this transubstantiation that takes place in the Eucharist is you're really eating and drinking this divine spiritual substance, which is manna. It's like magical power. It's not necessarily like literal physical blood and literal physical flesh. That's just a symbol, which I like that. But And the exoteric mainstream Christians start talking about, no, it's like literal physical flesh and literal physical blood. Now that's basically vampirism. There's nothing divinizing, and I don't like that, because there's nothing divinizing about cannibalism. Even if you eat the flesh of a great human being, it's not divinizing. It's just physical flesh and physical blood. But if it's spiritual, then by eating and drinking that spiritual substance, you can become spiritual. It becomes a tool for theosis, for divinization, if it's understood properly and if it's performed properly.
Yeah, this
But
is definitely making me want to look more into like the animal sacrifices and blood and all this stuff, because it seems like there's some sort of current of philosophy, like in all the oldest scriptures there's always sacrifices, and um I don't know, I just feel like there's more there to discover. Oh, and
Yeah, I have a
also
question.
um I was just thinking also in the, I think in some of the Norse mythology as well, like I don't know if it's the gods or something that like drink the blood of animals and get powers from them or something, but anyway, I don't know.
I do.
Uh,
Sorry, go ahead.
so this leads me to a question actually. So a lot of religions, like for example, the pagan religions, they say that the ego is the highest truth. But why do so many people derive their identity, protection, and worth from their ego when it is real? When in reality it is only an illusion, and it only has a strength, illusion of strength and permanence.
Yeah, I guess people were so we get caught up in the material. Like we see
But
something
the
temporary
ego,
and
the ego only has the illusion of strength and permanence. But so many people view it as the highest truth because they derive their identity, protection, and their sense of worth from it.
yeah, I think the reason why it's an illusion is because it's temporary. Like the eternal things, right? They are where we can find that lasting peace and lasting happiness. But in the material things, it's like we get that feeling, but then it disappears, and oftentimes it actually we if we engage in the material um, desires and get the material pleasures and all these things, it can feel extremely powerful at first, but then very quickly it all disappears and you actually go opposite. Rather than feeling really good, you go very dark, you enter very dark places, and you fall. And that's a very old story. Lucifer was an angel, and then that's where he entered the ego, where he saw himself as higher than the infinite, and that his own personal ego was what what should take over, rather than staying in communion with the infinite, or with so
But you brought up a biblical you brought up a biblical perspective. But why does the God need to fight the devil when he created the devil? I think the devil is below God.
yeah, I don't think the God fights the devil. I think the devil is really just a representation of our free will, manifest as as an explanation of all of the kind of more negative things that we see in the world. um
Mhm, mhm.
but I don't
Because if
think that,
awareness
yeah.
because if awareness is the awareness itself is the Godhead, then and the ego is a reflection of the illusion of the self. Then why does one need to fight the devil when awareness itself protects us?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you say that again?
So awareness itself, I think awareness itself acts as a protection for us. We don't need to go out and fight egoistic people, or we don't need to engage in feeding the ego, because awareness itself is the Godhead.
Right. Yeah, I think this is a very key idea also, like in Islamic philosophy. Like a lot of ideas are we can either take inwardly and see it all as unified within us, within the microcosm, or we can see it's all, you know, externally in the macrocosm. I think that actually is the reason for when these situations of jihad occur. It's like people thinking that jihad is some external thing, but it should be internal, in my opinion.
Mhm.
And
The ego
that's
ultimately doesn't withstand the weight of life. It is ultimately defeated because the ego itself is not permanent, like you said, and it is an illusion, and I think I think it is meant to fail us. It is because that it teaches us eventually.
yeah, it's very important um, that we fight the ego, but it's not really something that we fight. It's just as a consequence of our spiritual practice or ritual or meditation, or, you know, our way of connecting to that infinite energy, that any of those sort of limited darknesses can be once again illumined, so that we're not, you know, walking in darkness.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the best turnout yet. Well, I guess it's only the second one. So uh, it's great that we already have a few people in here who have wanted to join, and it's nice to see you again, um, guys. And yeah, I'm also very happy that you joined Akisios.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Is there some definition for your name, or some explanation, or is
It
it?
was an epithet for Apollo. It means destroyer of evil. I just liked how it sounded like Kasios. But the whole ego thing is very interesting. There's a myth with Medusa, and Perseus kills Medusa by showing a reflection of her own face, and so she's kind of like horrified by her own reflection. And isn't this how the ego is killed? When we meditate and we look at the ego inside of ourselves, we're disgusted by what we see.
Yeah, we have to integrate all the inner aspects that we hold in darkness with awareness. We have to integrate every aspect of our, for example, we have to integrate our shame and embarrassment that we might feel inside, and then we must view those things through with the light of awareness, and then we must integrate those aspects that we hold within us. It's like the tendency to lie is an aspect of ourselves that we must face with awareness and uh, bring to the surface and then face it.
I'm very interested by all the peculiar myths describing the process. They are describing, like there's the bull. Of course, we've already brought up the dragon, but another symbol is the bull. It's not just there in Mithraism, it's even found in the Quran in some places, but the idea that there is this bull that needs to be slain or sacrificed in order to bring about renewal, well, that's an obvious symbol for the ego. The bull is this large, bullish creature that's always angry, and slaying the bull is an obvious symbol for destroying the ego. And after Mithras slays the bull, he ascends to heaven, and then he eats what's called the ambrosia, which is the manna. It's this magical food of the gods in heaven with the sun god Helios, and that's obviously a symbol for apotheosis. So after you slay the ego, you become a god. You attain apotheosis. That's basically the symbolism.
Mm.
But does the ego have to be integrated, or does it have to be slain completely?
Well, what's your perspective on that, Eddie?
I think I don't know, it's interesting because especially in modern day thought, there's a lot of ideas, like especially that if you don't express all of your emotions, or you know that there's oftentimes this sort of shadow side that needs to be integrated, or that there's sort of the subconscious and all these subconscious thoughts and ideas. And in my personal experience, like on the path, I feel like there could be some truth to that. And I think that there's two kind of ways to, you could say, integrate or maybe slay. I don't know exactly how I would describe it, but I feel like you either enter into silence or you do some sort of contemplation on the infinite or on the light. So it's either, but in both ways, you're entering into silence, which is sort of also a very loving state through meditation, through silent meditation, or you're entering into love through contemplation, concentration on love, which is entering you into that silence. So it's like that uh, state of love is naturally a very quiet place, and so also that state of silence is also a place filled with very much love. And so in those states, I feel like the ego, you could say, dissolves or is slain, but I like to think about it like that darkness is not real in and of itself, but rather like when you flip on a light switch, you could say that the light radiates and fills the room, but the darkness isn't necessarily destroyed. It was just it simply disappears because that which is came into being, and that which was not, which is darkness or void, or the absence of being, no longer was. I guess you could say, in being, or is no longer existence, um, but yeah, it disappeared. And I was also having some very interesting thoughts about what you were saying about the bull, and like and I think also in ancient Egyptian, they had this all of the gods in the Egyptian pantheon had these staffs.
What's going,
Hello,
guys?
welcome,
I
Andy.
can hear you.
Nice to see you.
Wait a minute. Namaskar. Namaskar to everyone.
Namaskar.
I'm sorry, I'm very late. Yeah, I just came from work. I can hear you. Can you talk now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, now I can hear you. Yeah. How's it going?
Oh, it's going good.
Hmm. I'm
Um,
sorry, I'm interrupting something.
no, welcome.
Okay. I will introduce myself. I'm Andy from Argentina, Buenos Aires. I hope you're all doing well. I just came from work and my room is mess, so I'm sorry for that. And I'm eating, so yeah. I will I will just listen. I don't know what you're talking, but
Hi, Andy.
hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, I was we were just talking about our friend over here, this Akisios the owl. He was talking about this Egyptian uh or he was talking about this bull, and it made me think of this Egyptian philosophy. And all of the gods, they had these staves. And there's like a head to the staff, and there's like a rod, and there's a bottom part, and supposedly it represents the spine. And actually, I think this is kind of maybe why you came in here, Andy, because I know you also are interested in semen retention and stuff. And so supposedly this Ankh, which is like the symbol of life, this Jed and this was symbol, it's called this was scepter, and it's supposed to be a symbol of the Egyptian pharaoh's dominion over the empire. And there's theories about what it represents, but supposedly it might represent the bull's spine, and supposedly their dried penis. So the life force, instead of flowing downward and outward, would be flowing upward and into the brain, supposedly. And so this scepter represents life, dominion, and power, something like that. And I'm kind of trying to recall this idea from memory, so it's a little bit
Yes. Yeah, actually,
Interesting.
it's pretty interesting that when you were talking about Egypt, I'm sorry, my English, I'm self-taught in English, so it will be sometimes I go wrong with the pronunciation. Okay, so I was saying it's interesting about Egypt that in Argentina we have the obelisk. You know, obelisk is a figure from Egypt, and it says it represents this masculine force that is pointing upwards. I remember I'm a yogi. I practice yoga and meditation, and we use a special kind of underwear, a male underwear that was created by Shiva. I use it, and it makes like it puts your genitals in is pointing upwards. It's like it's like going, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, those who know will understand. And it's pointing upwards, and yeah, you remind me of that with this kind of Egypt and the obelisk that it has this form, you know. And there's many Ananda Murti talks about that the idol adoration of that the warriors used to adorate like this kind of figures that point upwards, masculine, the male, and so on. I'm sorry, I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
yeah, no, I understand. Yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to put the genitals, I suppose, in an upward position so that the energy is not flowing there so much, I suppose. And it's very interesting also the Egyptians had very interesting structures like these obelisks and these pyramids and all sorts of stuff, which might have been some sort of energetic thing, and I still don't understand um, how they were created. It's quite strange, quite impossible seeming.
I think abstaining from sexual activity regulates the breath in a different way, because when you hold your self control, your breath also automatically is regulated differently, and that itself, that can raise the kundalini, because when breath is regulated differently, it becomes a form of pranayama, and the breath and that can raise the kundalini to the brain, and then that can awaken, that can cause enlightenment.
Yes, the ancient Egyptian pyramids, by the way, were tombs. They were giant tombs designed to make the soul of the pharaoh ascend to the stars and become a god, basically, something along those lines.
So kundalini rises when we engage in self control, and when we release our self control, that's when we release energy.
I don't know if you are aware of the concept of sexual vampirism. It's quite controversial. I don't want to disgust anyone, but the idea is it appears in certain Taoist medicine, alchemy literature, and certain Tantra medical literature. The idea is you make a woman orgasm, but you don't ejaculate the semen.
Would that lead to some kind of internal problem with your genitalia?
On the contrary, these texts claim that it leads to all kinds of health benefits. Supposedly, the Taoist medical texts claim one absorbs the qi, or the life force of the woman, and the certain ones also recommend that as you're about to orgasm, you withdraw and then you suck in your belly and then you point your eyes upwards and then you roll them back and forth and you breathe in a certain way, and then basically the semen it goes inside of the body, distributes throughout the body, and it claims like your whole body becomes warm, you attain health and stuff like that. I don't know if any of this is true or not, but it's in these Taoist medical alchemical
There are
manuscripts.
there are all kinds of mental gymnastics that you can do to attain various states of consciousness.
But I just want to point out those manuscripts are very controversial because they recommend that the younger a woman is, the more powerful this effect is. So it becomes extremely unethical.
Oh yeah, that can go quite a dark path.
It can, yes, yeah. And they also claim
Epstein
a
is
woman
probably a Taoist, yeah.
and they also claim a woman can practice sexual vampirism by making the male orgasm, but or make him horny, but not allow him to come or to ejaculate, and so she absorbs his chi basically. But this is all extremely unethical, and it's worth pointing out that the main sects of Taoism today do not accept these practices, and they never have. They're just practices that were known to the Chinese alchemists basically, but they're not practiced by the main sects of Taoism.
So what would be the opposite of that? Vampirism.
Probably just ejaculating into the woman, and then you lose your life force with that loss of the semen, basically.
I was thinking more like, instead of the woman trying to harness the chi of the man, it would be more like give to it or provide a fertile soil for it to, grow, regardless of ejaculation or not.
Perhaps. I don't know. But we always need to be guided by ethics when it comes to these things. And a lot of these alchemical manuscripts from ancient China, they're literally recommending that a man, he has sex with as many women who are as young as possible, and it becomes extremely unethical. And it's worth pointing out that even though Tantra is associated with that stuff, right hand Tantra, which is the main form of Shivaism and Shaktiism, is actually guided by very strong ethical principles, and they don't accept that. It's mainly left hand Tantra that practices these sorts of things, and other things that are extremely taboo and controversial.
Yeah, the Taoists definitely have a lot of those sort of philosophies, or they're often very connected to certain sexual practices. A lot of times about like circulating the microcosmic orbit. So them seeing the microcosm and the macrocosm as one and the same, and so that you could circulate that sexual fluid. You might have heard of this through practices like that, to cultivate the sexual energy, but to really to subliminate it so that you can more easily practice nofap or semen retention.
They say that practicing excessive semen retention can lead to testicular cancer. Is that true in your view?
No, I don't think so. I think probably studies are funded by, I mean, that sounds kind of conspiratorial, but like the porn industries and such. I mean, there's so much evidence out there already against the porn industries, and how porn destroys your brain. And so I think like this idea that if you don't masturbate, it causes some sort of prostate cancer or something. I think that there's it seems marginal and a little bit seems funded, but I don't know, maybe there's some degree of truth to it. But at least in my mind, in my experience, the benefits are felt and real. But I think that
I engage in semen retention during spiritual practice, but I don't always engage in it.
yeah.
Yeah, I just started that actually. Made it first week. Congratulations. Sorry.
Eddie,
Yeah, I have tips for somebody.
your voice is a little bit quiet. Um, but you said you were
How
going through some changes,
better?
or I think it's a little bit better. Yeah. You said you were going through some
No, I just
changes,
started semen
or
retention. I made it 1 week.
okay. I remember a while back
So
I was talking to you, and you said you were like going through some transitions or changes or something, but I don't know if that was something more casual or not, but
no, definitely. There's been a shift recently to be more social, and energies definitely have something to do with that. So there's like an energy and a time for closing off, going to be by yourself, harnessing that energy, and then a time for explosive sharing type of energy. And I guess there's like that transition between those two modes or phases. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah, I think I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice that we've gotten a little bit of a group together already in the second conference. Um, where are you guys from, by the way? Andy, you're from you said you're from Buenos Aires or Argent or
Argentina.
Yes, very good pronunciation. It's Buenos Aires. Very good.
okay,
Argentina, yes.
beautiful. Where are you at, Eddie?
I'm in Georgia, the state.
Cool,
That's
cool.
good.
He put his accent on Buenos Aires, so I thought I'd try to put a southern accent on Georgia.
Very good.
Buenos Aires. Am I saying that right?
Buenos is good, but you say Aires.
Aires.
Buenos. Ah, good, good. Absolutely. Amazing. Yeah.
Buenos Aires. Okay.
Yeah. That's the way. That's the way. Yeah. It means good airs, good winds.
Mm,
Yeah.
the winds of fortune.
Yeah, that's another way of saying it.
The winds of change. The eight worldly
Mm,
winds. There's a lot of wind.
yeah. Yeah, it's very windy Buenos Aires. We have the ocean and we have the biggest, the wider river of the world, which is Rio de la Plata. So it's very windy, yes.
Mm. Is it a spiritual place overall?
Well, I don't know. I think I read some scriptures that they always say that there is no sacred places, that the divine is in everywhere. So I never felt like there is some places that which are more spiritual than others. But I must say I'm from Buenos Aires, so of course it's a very special place for me. I was in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil 2 months ago, and I felt I liked the vibe too. A very, very, very powerful place. I think I live in the city, but one monk, a monk from India, once told me the more closer you are to nature, the more closer you are to God. So Rio de Janeiro was very special too. I like natural places, yeah. But Buenos Aires, of course, I love it, yeah.
That's
And
interesting. Can you expand upon that? The closer you are to nature, the closer you are to God. That's interesting.
yeah, yes, I can go further a little bit on that. I'm cooking, so if I need to go, I will go and then come. Okay, so yeah, because 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, I was asking God to give me a shift in my life. I needed to change. I needed to change radically. And then a situation happened, a very crazy situation that I wasn't expecting. And suddenly I had to change completely the place where I was living. I was living in the South Buenos Aires in the city, and then I lose my job. Actually, I didn't lose it, but I how do you say? I renounce. I mean, I ask for
Resigned
how do you say?
or quit.
Yeah, I quit.
Just
I asked to quit. I wanted to quit, but I wasn't expecting to quit. And then I moved to my father's place in the countryside, which is 200 kilometers inside the country of Buenos Aires. It's very natural place. And I have a monk. I am a friend of many monks, but this is like my personal monk. And he told me it's very good that you go there because the closer you are to nature, the closer you are to God. Because in those places, he explained to me that there is natural, of course, the vibrations of God, the vibes of God are everywhere. Are in a concert of Metallica or in a cave in the Himalayas. The same amount of God is everywhere. But in these places, there is some kind of vibe that allows you to connect more easily or more deeper with these waves of God. And I spent 1 year alone in this place. I'm a runner, so I was running through the fields alone, and I spent a lot of time alone. Now you see me, I have kind of, well, my hair is kind of long, but I had long hair and I had a beard, and the people in the county, they were mocking me. They were saying me, Jesus. They called me Jesus because I was with my I was with my beard like this and my hair long.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah, Forrest Gump, Forrest Gump. I was like Forrest Gump, and yeah, that's the story. And I realized that what this monk told me was right. In this, when you are closer to nature, something shifts, something happens. I don't know how to explain it, but it's something different. And once a yogi told me, well, there is many stories that I have related to this that we can discuss and think. Once a yogi told me there's two places on earth that they have a lot of energy. One is the beach in front of the ocean, and the other one is the cemetery. I have experience with both of them, the cemeteries. I used to go to cemeteries a lot to do meditation there. And I used to do I no I cannot say I used to do because I only did it like once or two, meditation in the ocean, and it's a pretty special place too. You can connect with God. You can connect with God everywhere, but these places are some kind of special. That's the story. I'm sorry if I went too long, but
No, it's okay.
I think we were all enjoying it a lot. It was great.
yes.
It's very good.
I think what I like about nature is that the mysteries of God manifest in nature. Like it's all mysterious. Like for example, the cave. You brought up meditating in a cave before, but the cave is something we enter into in meditation as well. And so the outward image, the physical thing, which is a cave, is actually a symbol for something we experience inwardly. And in that sense, I say it's a mystery. And it's like that with all the things in nature, like animals, like pigs symbolize gluttony and thoughts of gluttony, and
Yes.
dogs symbolize this kind of barking, aggressive. And then the sun symbolizes God, who has the ability to infuse life into the soul, just as the sun bathes everything in light and gives everything life on the earth. And so it's like all the images in nature are symbols, the mysteries, the God's mysteries. And so when you look at the river, it's not just like it's a river. It's like this has some sort of esoteric symbolic meaning. It's a mystery, and it's the same thing with the tree and the bear and the wolf and the lamb and the pig and the cloud and the sky and the ground. Like it all has some sort of esoteric meaning. It's they're all mysteries, and so nature is the mysteries of God, and so to take time away from the world to go into nature and just to contemplate the mysteries that are present there at nature is very mind expanding, I find.
Yeah, that's you say it in a very, very beautiful way. It's the mystery and the esoteric symbolism of it. It's just unbelievable. And what you say at the last point, the last sentence that you said is like the summary of everything. It expands the mind. That's the way it is. I remember that there's a great master who say that in animate beings we are animate beings, and you have inanimate beings. For example, a rock is an inanimate being because it doesn't move and don't talk, but it's a being. And we are animate beings because we move, we talk, we interact as and like animals do, and trees and plants. And he says that animate beings, they have this intrinsical like nature, or like how do you say it in English, this tendency, they have this tendency of admire what is greater than them. So that's why it's natural in people who are not, maybe not very materialistic, that they believe in God and so on. And this master was saying that there is some kind of monkeys, or yeah, monkeys and another kind of animal, I don't remember, but he said that they like, for example, the monkey cannot think of God, but they like to watch at the mountains, because when they look at the mountains they feel little. And animate beings love to feel like there is something greater than us, you know. It is like sometimes we are very egoistical, we are very arrogant. Even myself, I can identify this even on me. But when you are like contemplating God, or trying to, or even in nature, you have this thing that you feel little, and it's beautiful to feel little, you know, that we are not the center of the universe. And I love oak trees. Oak trees are my favorite, and they are full of esoteric meaning too. And yeah, when I sometimes I hug them, and it's something unbelievable. You know, you just feel this. So thank you very much. I don't know your name, but it's very. You make me reflect a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And yes, the mountain can indeed make us feel small, and the mountain
Yes.
symbolizes higher levels of consciousness. Like these myths in the ancient world where the people claim their gods dwelt on top of mountains. Like you have the Olympian gods who dwell upon Mount Olympus. Or even in the Bible, you have Yahweh who is apparently dwelling up on Mount Zion. But the mountain really is symbolizing higher levels of existence. I think in the Vedic mythology, Mount Sumeru is the center of the universe, and like all the different lokas, all the different planes of existence are all located on Mount Sumeru. And they're not literally located on the physical mountain. It's a symbol. It has like an esoteric meaning to it, as do all these images in nature. And yeah, contemplating the mountain, you feel small, not just because the mountain is big, but because the mountain symbolizes all the different planes of existence and all the higher levels of
Yeah.
existence. And we need to
Absolutely.
climb that mountain.
Yeah, speaking of nature, whenever I would meditate in nature, um, actually, Andy is he's responsible for me on my semen retention journey. He's my accountability partner. He watches me, make sure I don't watch any pornography, slip up, anything like that. He's also a Margi like me, and so I don't know how much you can relate to this, Andy, but when I would do my Ananda Marga meditation in nature, even if I wouldn't, even if my concentration would be very shallow, the quality of the meditation would be so different, like so much more peace, like would really, it's just a very special peace when you do it in nature. That's kind of hard to describe. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, it is said in our scriptures. Our masters say that as long as you should do outside meditation as much as you can. It's always better, and there is positive energies and so on outside, and in general, it's better for the mind. The best meditations that I had in my entire life, they were in the cemetery, which is somehow nature, because it is full of trees and it's abandoned and it's like ruins and so on. So the best ones I had under trees in cemeteries. So yeah, nature is very special place. It's absolutely, yeah, it feels different.
I guess I need
And
to find a cemetery near here.
yeah, it's something very good to be. Yeah, it's the most, in my opinion, it's the most special place to do meditation. Even to walk. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius and some others, it's a very good Stoic exercise to walk in the cemetery, because sometimes we feel like overwhelmed by life and all the problems and struggles and pains and afflictions that we have. And when you are there, I can assure you, I can give you 100% guarantee that all disappears. When you are there, everything disappears. Why? Because you see that all the problems that you have. Marcus Aurelius says something very interesting. I read his book of meditations very often, and he says, whatever happens to you, don't worry too much, because it is happening to you because you're a human. If you were a cow, you will have cow problems because you will be a cow, an animal, but you have these problems because you are a human being, and human beings have certain problems, and lions they have other problems. And when you go to the cemetery, you are above all that humans that they once had the same problems like you, or maybe even worse than you. And they had all their dreams and so on, but they passed because everything passed. And then you see and you feel that your death cannot touch you, because you are in the symbolic, as the person that has the owl here in the chat, the bird, this bird, he was saying that oh, I lost myself. I was trying to remember what he said.
It was the mountain.
No, you say something about oh my god, how can I forget it?
How nature is filled with mysteries.
Yeah, you remember that you were talking about the esoteric symbolism of nature, and the esoteric symbolism of the cemeteries is that you are walking while all these people are beneath you, and the symbolism is that you are here, you are still in life, and you are above death, literally, because below you there is death, there's people dead people. So you're in this symbol is you go beyond death. It's been some time, I think, some long months, even a year, that I'm not going to the cemetery doing these things, because now I live in different place. But yeah, it's a very nice exercise. I went tens of times. Yeah, it's a good place. I learned it from a monk too.
It's interesting you bring up the cemetery, because the park I normally went to meditate in is actually a cemetery in addition to being a park. there's gravestones around, and I always enjoyed meditating there. And I
Yeah.
never considered what it was about that spot that I particularly enjoyed, but maybe it's what you bring up, that it has this
It's
graveyard quality.
It's the energy. I am a friend of a brother. He is from Russia, and you know the World War II. It was crazy in Russia. They were fighting with the Germans, and he told me that he goes and do meditation in a place where a lot of people were killed by Germans. They were put against the wall and executed there. And he goes and do meditation right there. And he told me there's still this energy of death, and the fact of being there is like you are overcoming that energy. And he told me it's the best place that he ever experienced doing meditation, in this place where a lot of people died and so on. So there is something special regarding this the symbolism of life and death. So it's good. It's interesting.
You
It's
know,
super interesting.
if you think about it, how many people have died like right where you are right now throughout history, just by coincidence? If there's been like billions
Yeah,
of people,
it's
I bet
crazy.
somebody, yeah, we're probably under, we're probably above bones right now,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
I like what you said. Anywhere you go should be the sacred place, right? Like
Yeah,
there are no sacred places.
yeah,
There's two ways, but everything's sacred and nothing is sacred.
yes,
And I find both of those mindsets so refreshing.
yes.
Like
It is
nothing special about this moment in this place, and that can be
Yeah.
very healing. And then another time, it's like, wow, this is so special. This is a special place where people died or people lived well. Yeah.
The graveyards also
You
make me
keep them.
think of how
Go ahead, Alex.
the Catholic Church keeps like relics of like bones of saints and stuff. I feel like your spiritual chi, or that energy or whatever you want to call it, I think it remains there after you die. There's the stories of monks and all these people who, after they pass, their bodies somehow naturally on their own are 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 preserved. And so I think that some sort of spiritual energy goes to that deepest part of ourselves, the bones, and remains there even after you die. I also think that, like, in that process of death, some sort of energy is released, and it's very spiritual. All traditions kind of are connected to the death process, and it's definitely very interesting how, like, yogis would, like the more esoteric yogis would, have skulls around their neck and all sorts of stuff. I think because also, especially when you have the bones of very saintly people and you're meditating in those areas, or like in this tradition which me and Andy practice. Lots of times you want to meditate where other previous meditators have meditated before, because it creates like a spiritual ambiance there. Um, so definitely something is going on energetically around graveyards, meditation spots, war zones,
yes.
perhaps.
Monasteries.
Monasteries for sure. Monasteries, definitely. There's a book I
Uh,
have. Um, I can show you guys. Oh, it's this. This is a really interesting book. It's called The Origins of the Sacred: The Ecstasies of Love and War. And
looks amazing.
yeah, I haven't read all of it
Eh,
yet, unfortunately, but he basically explains that there's always this sort of connection. There's always some sort of spiritual energy to violence and to sexuality, and actually, that's, I think, also how the Hawaiians and Polynesian religions, they believed, where they derived their mana from, their spiritual energy, that it could be gained or lost through sexual and violent interactions. That's in no way saying that you should be violent and that you somehow gain spiritual power from that. But there's some sort of connection to those very surreal experiences, that those are somehow spiritual experiences. And there's always, war and all sorts of stuff in religions, great wars and revelations and all,
When you say mana, that's like part of the mind, right? I forgot what that word meant.
Well, I think in the Hindu philosophy, manas is like a portion of the mind. It's like the memory that is across the body, and also within the mind. It's kind of like, I guess, supposedly you could say that in the Hindu philosophy, it's adjacent to one's, somehow synonymous to one's like DNA, kind of, but it's also related to the mind and in that kind of
Yeah.
more primal aspect of the mind. But then in the Polynesian thoughts, it's something different, which I still is a little bit not exactly. It escapes me. I'm not exactly sure about it in full.
It's
It's the chitta, or the opposing part of the mind.
it's interesting what you say, Ali, bro. That about manas, and it's incredible that in Sanskrit, manava is a human being. So it's very crazy because it's the same root, manas, mana, and we are very mental beings. We are actually the scriptures, Shoic scriptures, they say the human being is predominantly psychic. So Manava is human being in Sanskrit, and we are. It's crazy if you think about it.
If this seems a bit too schizo, I apologize, but I'm reminded of the manna in the Hebrew Bible, which God rains down on the Israelites.
Yeah.
And by eating it, they're granted life, and so that they don't die. Maybe it's this psychic energy from the manas, which is being imbued into us, maybe. Sorry
Yeah,
if that seems a bit schizo, like making connections where there aren't any, but yeah.
Not at all. I mean, also in the Hindu philosophy, right, there's this mantra, Namah Shivaya, right? So it's also supposedly going to be connected to the five elements, right? So if you could think of Namah Shivaya, so earth, water, fire, air, ether. So Na, Ma. So it's water, earth, makes sense where if you think about DNA, maybe our bodies are composed of water and earth. If you think of, I don't know, you can make all sorts of, that's really the goal of the mystic, though, is to draw these connections. But I think that's really what those syllables are actually really connected to, those elements in the philosophy itself. And so when you look at these root words like mana, and there's so many words which have these kind of, baba, all these different words which are very short. Like in Baba in Bengali and all this stuff is like father, and in Hebrew it's like Abba, or it's not Abba. It's something similar, which also means father. There's so many connections also between Hebrew and Sanskrit. So that was just a whole bunch of schizo I threw out. Yeah. I don't know how coherent what that was, but it was just a little bit of a stream of consciousness straight from the source. So, but actually, I was recently looking at the origins of the God Yahweh, and if you go back, actually, the original, the oldest name for him that we have found or can find is Ramanu. And Rama, or Ram, is the one of the avatar before Krishna in the Vedic philosophy, in the Sanatana Dharma. It's also another interesting connection. Yeah, I noticed some of these words are same between Hebrew and Sanskrit. Like, the Jewish people, they go to yeshiva. It makes me think of Shiva, like the god, and I don't know. Maybe it's drawing connections a little bit that are a little bit too distant, but it's I don't know.
I think everything is connected, so it's fine anyways.
I think the Sanskrit word for mother is ma. Sounds related to Mara or Maria in Latin, which means bitter. I think in the Hebrew Bible, Moses was basically like some sort of magician. He comes across a pool in the Exodus called the Pool of Mara, which means bitter. And it's said that after he throws a piece of wood into it, it becomes sweet, and so the Israelites can drink it. So it goes from being Mara in Hebrew to being Amara, which means like not bitter. And I don't know if there's a connection to that with the concept of Mary, who of course is from the Latin Maria, which means bitter. Literally, it means bitter. And you see these depictions of Mary crying, and it's like this sorrowful mother, Maria, like this bitter, sorrowful mother. I don't know if this word is connected with like mantra, like this mother, mantra, mana.
Well, I think it
This is
actually really makes sense because if you think about it, Ma is the first. Well, I don't know. Actually, no, that would be Na. I think Nama, Om Namah Shivaya. I think Na is the earth element. I don't know. I need to refresh my memory on the elements and correspondence to those roots.
Yeah.
And also the word for matter in ancient Greek was matter, and it's that word again, ma, at the beginning, matter, ma, mother, ma. And the word for mother in ancient Greek was also matter. I think in Latin also the word for mother was, I could be mistaken, I think it was matter. And so it's like that ma thing at the beginning. It's very weird, like these connections. And in the Hebrew, we have Mara, the pool of Mara, which means bitter. It's very strange, these connections.
You think Mara, like Mara?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty familiar with that from Buddhism. Do you know that word in Buddhism?
Yes, yes.
It
In
means
Pali? Yeah.
it means death. Mara.
Can.
Mara means death.
Ma, mother. Yes.
Mara. M-R-A. No, M-A-R-A. Yeah, Mara. Mara.
Yeah.
In Spanish, we say Mara. Mara means death in Sanskrit too. And it's crazy. Some kind of joke that I always do in my country is very. There is some women that they have as name Mara. So as it means death. I always say to people, never marry or never date any girl who is called Mara. It's crazy. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
reminded of that verse from one of the Gospels where Jesus, when he's on the cross, he says, "Woman," he's speaking to Maria, "Woman, behold your son," which is like saying, Maria, Mara, matter, behold your son. It's nature, matter. She weeps because her son, which if all of us are suffering and dying, like eating each other alive for food and survival of the fittest and all this stuff. So matter is a sorrowful mother, basically. Maria, like this sorrowful mother that weeps for her offspring that is being eaten alive, basically. Sorry if that seems a bit schizo.
That's crazy.
I don't think my Catholic friends would approve, but I like it though.
Probably not. But they also portray those statues of Mary black, and they call them the Black Madonnas. And really, this is a symbol for the primordial matter, the fundamental material stuff the material world is made out of. It's this black material substrate. A lot of statues of Isis and other goddesses were also portrayed with this obsidian black kind of material. And again, it's harbinging back onto this symbolism of the sorrowful mother, this matter, Maria. They insist all of this stuff isn't inspired from, pagan mystery cults, but in my opinion, it clearly is. But that's just my opinion. Even the water to wine miracle seemed Dionysian to me. In the Gospel of John, Jesus, he turns the jars of the water into wine. And what's really going on here is that the water is our subconscious mind. And the wine is the manna. It's the magical substance that divinizes and immortalizes whoever eats it. It's the ambrosia, the food of the gods. It's this magical substance that appears in all this mythology. That's the wine. And Dionysus, the pagan god, he had these myths associated with him where he would turn fountains of water into wine. And I can pull these up if you want to. I'm not making this up. It actually comes from ancient sources. He was a water to wine god. And a lot of this mystery symbolism surrounding wine and the divinizing, intoxicating power of wine, which we experience in meditation, was kind of incorporated by the authors of the Gospel of John into its writing, I believe. And
that's a beautiful place for me to step out. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing. I have to get some groceries and do some editing before I sleep. So I really appreciate talking to all you guys. I'm gonna head out.
Okay, it was lovely talking to you.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for bringing me in.
Yeah.
So yeah, namaskar to everyone. It's very late here in Argentina. It's 1 a.m. in the morning. So I will go sleep now. So thank you very much. I just came home and I saw the message of my friend, and I'm very happy to see him.
Andy.
And nice to meet you
Nice
you
to meet
guys.
you. Yeah.
No.
Nice to meet you
This
guys.
is the first time
Yeah.
we're talking, Andy. So it's nice to see you.
Bye bye.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right.
Yeah, y'all take care.